All right, we're live.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Junction Podcast. We've got episode 23 here with John, aka Gamester81. How's it going, man?
Good, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here talking to you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we appreciate having you on. We've got Brandy, aka Gamer Aimer. How's it going?
Howdy, it's going well.
And then we got Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch,
What up?
aka Grumpy Bomber, aka Rude Streamer.
Rude That's slander. That's what that is.
Oh, just messing with you. How's everything going, John? How's everything been?
It's been good. Happy New Year's to you guys. Belated New Year's. It's been good, man. I'm excited for 2023. And I've been busy. Been good.
Awesome. Love to see it. Yeah, you're definitely working hard. I follow everything you're doing. And it's cool
Thanks, brother.
stuff, man. I love to see it.
Thank you.
So we're going to kind of transition how we do our podcast a little bit today. We've got a little bit of a time constraint. John's got something else going on, so we're just going to jump into some topics and just go over some things, see how everything's going. So just going to see, how's everything with the gaming community for you in 2023, and how have things changed for you?
For me?
Yeah.
I think the gaming community is strong, man. I really like, meeting people. I like going to events and talking to people in person. As far as I'm kind of old school, right? I was looking at it almost 15 years ago on YouTube.
Yep.
2008, right?
2008.
So November, I think it's November this year will be 18 years. It's crazy, or 15 years rather.
It's a long time.
But yeah, so it's when I started, there really wasn't that big of a community, right?
No,
I mean, it was
It wasn't.
Angry Video Game Nerd and a few others, and there just hasn't really blown up like it is now. So I think as it changed, it's harder to get noticed, if that makes sense now, than back in the day.
Sure.
So I think I started at a good time where I was kind of one of the first ones in it. But it's still a great community. I still like, going out there hunting for games. I mean, I'm old school. Met a lot of cool people. I've gotten to make my own games through it, do a convention. So it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, I've the first three YouTubers I watched were you, AVGN, and Happy Console Gamers. So you guys
That's
all
awesome.
started
Yeah.
around the same time.
Yeah.
So-
And Pete, I don't know if you knew Pete Dorr.
Pete Dorr, yep.
Yeah. Pete Dorr was up there. Luke Morris won. He's out. He's an American guy living in Japan, but he's still doing videos, doing content. But he was one of the early guys I follow a lot. Still do. He's still doing it, which is awesome. So it's cool.
Yeah, I've watched from the beginning, so it's been a cool journey to see where you've
awesome.
come, how far you've
Thank you.
come.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's awesome. So let's go back a little bit. What got you started in YouTube? What made you want to jump into making
Well,
content?
I've always been into games, right? I mean, growing up, I've always been a gamer, right? And I've always been a collector, kind of both, right? So when I got married during the 08 time, one of the gifts that my in-laws gave to me was a video camera, right? So that was kind of like the thing that kind of sparked it for me. And I have a lot of obscure consoles that there wasn't much information online about at the time, right? Nintendo 64 disk drive, for example, or Apple Bandle Apple Pippin, whatever, the really rare stuff. And so I just kind of decided, I'm going to do my own videos. So I had very little skill. I hated the sound of my voice, to be honest with you. I no editing at all, terrible lighting, but I just uploaded videos and just put it out in the universe there on YouTube, and people tend to find it, which is awesome, very exciting. So I remember the first time I went to a show that someone noticed me was pretty wild, right? That was kind of a cool experience. We're like, wow, people actually
That's awesome.
will watch my stuff. It still kind of blows my mind, to be honest.
Yeah, that's really cool. Me and Brandy are also into the really obscure stuff.
That's great.
She's always hunting. She went hunting today. Did you find
Sweet.
anything besides the Pikachu?
Just a couple of games, PlayStation. I did find a Tamagotchi though. I haven't seen one of those. It had
Ooh.
1997 on the back.
Yeah, those
It
pocket
still
pads are
has the
cool.
pull tab in it.
Oh,
Really?
Oh, that's
No, I
pretty neat.
I haven't messed with it. I'm a little worried about the batteries and stuff being inside.
Yeah.
We'll see.
remember- Those
Okay.
came out when I was in junior high, I think, maybe junior high, maybe, I think it was junior high. but they actually, I remember them like the school's like abandoning them from the school because so many people brought them to school. It was like a distraction. That's classic though. That's awesome.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
you never know.
love
You
it.
never know what you might find out there.
Yeah, that's great. Where do you usually go to hunt?
So around me, I have tons of different thrift stores and video game stores and like retro game stores and stuff.
Yeah.
So I went kind of like the borderline at like the edge of the state and went into a couple different Goodwills. We have like Second Avenues, we have Savers, we have like Unique. There's just so many different ones. And Second and Charles, there's just a lot, but they're all within like a few hours. You know, it just depends on if you're willing to drive quite a bit. But then we do have some local game stores that are amazing here on the
Great.
East Coast. So.
That's great.
That sounds
Yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
awesome.
This
Yeah,
was
we've
like- No, I was gonna say like
Yeah.
I'm not hard. I guess to me retro is like the 360 era, but I did surprisingly find at a GameStop nonetheless the Dead or Alive Extreme 2 for like $12.
Nice.
I was like, you know what? I gotta get this. It's Dead or Alive, and it's essentially not the fighting style, which is like not my game, but it's like, yeah, who doesn't like beach volleyball?
Yeah. Right.
Those
Right.
games are fun.
That's what I thought.
Those
I
are
can
fun.
remember there's another one called like I think Beach Spikers maybe. I could be wrong on that one.
I have
but those-
it's funny you mentioned that game because actually I don't know if I should admit this or not, but I have a hacked version of that where they're all topless. It's kind of funny, but no,
Yeah.
it's a fun, actually a fun game.
Yeah, it is fun for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be bringing the online back with Insignia for that one too. The one that Mark picked up. They've already got two like the regular fighting game online, which
Mhm.
is cool. So I love seeing that.
That's great.
So what's kind of kept you motivated to keep doing this? Why are you doing it? What just sparks that into you to still do it in 2023?
Good question. I think it's just really the community, man. Just seeing people's feedback is awesome. I certainly don't do it for the money because I still have my day job, right? So I've
Right.
never done it for the money. I think that's a losing cause for many of us if we try to do it for that reason, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
you know. So
agreed.
I always just do it for the community and just what I love honestly is like the younger generation getting into gaming, right? Whether it's modern or retro or whatever, but if I can have be the outlet where people watch my stuff and learn a little more, have fun, that's all it's about, man.
Yeah, I agree with the community. I think we've kind of generally just all feel that way. The community does keep you going.
Right.
I don't know that I would even be motivated to still just really be gaming if it wasn't for some of my friends kind of in the community, the collecting, just the friendships made, period. I think that's a really cool thing. People are generally pretty loving in this community for the most part.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. For
so it's
every
awesome.
the way I look at for every negative person, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people who really care, right? And so I really
Yeah.
try to focus on the positive. I've never really quote fed the trolls or anything like that. Like I don't
Yeah.
really respond to them. Just kind of ignore them and kind of focus on the positive because there's a lot of positive in the community for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Kind of on that front, how do you think the hobby itself has changed in 2023?
Well, it's definitely harder to find games. I'm sure you guys have all experienced that, especially with COVID. I feel like gaming has gotten more popular because there wasn't really much. You couldn't leave the house, so to speak. So people were trying to
Right.
find the games. And so that's been a challenge trying to find games, not only trying to find games, but trying to find it at a decent price
Yes.
is definitely challenging, right? I mean, that's probably the biggest way it's changes. And maybe I think it's a combination of interest and it's a combination of just people covering the games, larger channels covering these games, and people knowing about it. Oh, I remember that game when I grew up and wanting that game. All of a sudden that builds up the demand and jacks up the price, right? So it's definitely changed.
Yeah, the price change just in 2020 itself, from February of
Right.
then has blown up.
Right. And also just the grading, right? I mean, when I started
Yeah.
collecting,
Grading.
there was no grading element. Like you couldn't really get your games graded, and now people are doing that, and and that further jacks up the price, right, of some
Yeah.
of the games. So
For sure.
I've never been one. I don't have any of my items graded. I've never really been a big fan of that. I mean, people were welcome to do it. I'm not against it. I just don't have anything personally graded in my collection.
I don't know. Grading kind of seems like, what's the point? I'm like, now it's graded, but I can't do anything with the game. It's just going to sit on my shelf as like decoration. Like, what if I want to actually play this game?
Right. Correct.
I'm going to have to spend money and buy a second copy of it.
Yeah.
And I always feel like that whenever I get a really good deal on something that's sealed. Like, I can't bring myself to open it, so it just sits there, and then I gotta find something that's open. Whether it be a display or, like, a cardboard standee or something, or even just a game. It just sits there. It does nothing. It just looks pretty on a shelf, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I collect Star Wars stuff, right? And I can see in your background, you collect, action figures and stuff too. And like, I'll keep those unopened because I don't sit and play with them necessarily. But video games is different. Like video games, I actually play. Yeah. So it's a little harder to keep those sealed, in my opinion. So
I like that you have that attitude because I'm on the line with Brandy. Like I don't have anything graded. I owned the most random thing graded, Sonic Collars for Wii that somebody traded me last year. I got rid of it almost immediately. Like I just didn't care. If it's like pre PS4, Xbox One, I'm the same exact way. I couldn't bring myself to open up a 360 game. I feel like at that point, you might as well just buy one used that's already open.
Yeah.
It's a weird attitude because I'm not like I don't go after sealed games. But I come across them sometimes and it happens. So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if I were to find a game that's kind of unusual and it's sealed, at this point, I probably wouldn't open it. Like, if it was like a sealed Super Mario Brothers or something, even though it's a common game, I'd just go out and buy another copy to play. I wouldn't open it per se, just, but I don't know if I'd take the time necessary to go mail it in, get it graded, and then have someone judge how much, it's all arbitrary, to be honest, right? So
something's only as worth as it's the monetary value of something's only as worth as much as somebody else is willing to pay, essentially.
That's correct, right? 100%.
But I don't know. Is it worth me buying all Switch and all PS5 games at this point, and just leave them sealed, and maybe one of them in 20 years be worth like $1,000?
People do it. I see it in
like
these groups. Yeah, people going after buying one sealed and one to open. People have done that for years. I don't know. I got like I have a sealed copy of Metroid Prime Hunters, so I got that last year. So I went out of my way to get an open copy, and I do still have that. The game has like a meaning to me. There's like a story behind that, but I think that the sealed stuff is a little weird with me. I don't do the grading. I've kind of grown to not. I used to like be totally against it, but I've moved into kind of having the medium attitude where it's kind of whatever. People are going to do that. They can do that with anything, right? So comic books, I understand that one. I get that a little bit more in action figures. It took me a while to comprehend something you got to put into a system to play, but it's inevitable for any community, right? If there's a collecting community, like I feel like that's just kind of an inevitable thing. So
like Pokemon cards are different. I mean, like because I don't know. I could see someone getting those graded more so than a video game. So
yeah, for sure.
Some of those like right out of the package have like triple digit value like right out of the package. Because for whatever reason, because it looks nice or it's a rare or it's for whatever reason, certain cards just have immediate monetary value.
Right. Right. Only at a time machine if you go back when Pokemon first started in the 90s, right? Buy all the packs, keep them all unsealed.
Gotta get that shiny Charizard. That's like what everybody wanted, and I never had one.
It's crazy. Even the wrappers themselves for like the first generation Pokemon cards, the wrappers are worth a lot. Yeah. Just even the wrappers themselves are worth a lot. So it's crazy.
And in 2010, I sold the first whole set of cards at my yard sale for $20. So I had the first edition shiny Charizard. No, I'm serious too.
You lost so much money.
The full set for $20 and a official Pokemon binder and everything. Yeah. Imagine my regret with it. Yeah, I'd be pretty well off at this point.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's like I got this NES game for my birthday, or I got this pretty rare. I forget what that game. Is Chopper Lifter one of the expensive 2,600 games? There's some aircraft.
It might be
Yeah.
Choplifter.
You said Chopper Lifter?
Yeah, I think so. There's one of those. There's not a lot of 2600 games that are worth a lot of money. They're pretty dime a dozen, but I think that's one of the expensive.
There's a handful.
And I think it had the handle on it as well. I could be wrong. I'm not a 2600 expert. I quit collecting that a while ago, but yeah, some of those games that we got back in the day, it's like if we had left that sealed and not had fun with it and not played it, we'd be pretty well off, and it's a weird feeling for sure.
Only a few select people would be able to do that, because if everyone went back and did it, then it might not have taken off.
You're right.
The market wouldn't be there.
Right.
No, we just had no idea.
I saw a story. This is kind of related, but it was I guess this YouTube channel bought a bunch of copies of this rare VHS tape, right? And it was like this horror kind of a really kind of it's hard to find UHF tape or VHS tape, and they bought like hundreds of copies and then like filmed them destroying them except for one, and they got the other one graded. The one that was left, they got it graded, and it went for eBay for like $80,000 or something crazy. So to me, that's wrong. Like you're just driving up that.
That is very wrong.
Yeah.
Artificially affecting the market just so you can get more money out of it.
Right.
Which, I mean, that's kind of what's happening with grading, right? So there's weird things with, like, say the Super Mario Bros. 3 that sold. I know there's variants that one had like a certain type of hang tab. There was like a couple released with hang tabs. The one without. I feel like I remember seeing that the one without a hang tab came with it was worth more, or sold for more. I'm sorry. Yeah, the grading stuff's very confusing to me. I know a lot of people that do it in the community, and
sure,
more power to them.
More power to them. Nothing wrong. Like, I'm
guess,
not against it. Just
I think the only issue with that is if you do that to then turn around and sell it, there's gonna hit a point where eventually you buy it at such a high price, you're not going to make a profit, or eventually the market's going to somewhat go away and those prices are going to kind of tank on you, or they don't want the graded stuff. I thought about just buying something graded and then just live stream myself just breaking it open and put it in a game system. Like if I had the money, that's what I would do.
You get a lot of people flaming on you that they would give you a hard time for that.
I wouldn't care. Yeah. I buy a game to play it. Like I don't want to just sit on the shelf and never touch it. Like what's the point?
For sure.
Yeah, do that, Mark, and we'll see what the backlash is.
Hey, if it gets views, man.
That's true. So, what do you enjoy about the community the most, and what's your favorite thing related to gaming now? In 2023, what are you playing the most?
Yeah, I think the thing I like the most about the community is, like I said a little bit before, is just like getting an opportunity to meet people at these various events, right, in person, and going to panels and meeting people. That's probably what I like the most. That kind of recharges my battery, so to speak, right? Gets me pumped.
Me too.
What was the second part of the question?
Just kind of like how you're gaming in 2023. What are you kind of playing the most? What do you have time for?
Yeah, I mean that's the key is the time. I mean between family and then running GameOn Expo, my day job, and everything else, Collector Vision games, it's hard for me to carve out time, but I do find time.
Sure.
But when I do, it's a mix, man. I'll do a little bit of modern and retro. So I've been playing the new God of War a lot, which is great. Nice. Really enjoying that. But as far as like retro stuff goes, I've been playing a lot of the 3DO, believe it or not, like Road Rash and those classic games.
Sure.
I was playing the other day, just the other day, I popped in, I turned on my GameCube and was playing Double Dash a lot. Which I love that game. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's one of the better Mario Kart games, to be honest. Such a unique. I wish they did something like that. But a little bit of a mix. Kind of depends what I'm in the mood for. I don't have time to play. I should love playing like RPGs, like Final Fantasies, and I just don't have the time to put in 20 hours, 15, 25 hours into a game right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
it's the hard part about those games. They require so much time investment.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But such a great stories and music and just amazing games. Yeah, for sure.
At the time, I haven't completed an RPG in a few years. My favorite, genre. So we were just talking about this the other day. The time investment, like Final Fantasy 16 is going to be coming out. I'd also do a mix of retro and modern. Like I actually played my 3DO pretty frequently playing the Street Fighter 2 Turbo on there.
Oh, it's a great port.
Best port of that game, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Yeah,
I agree, 100%.
I frequent that, but
Yeah.
I feel
do you
like
have do you have the 3-button controller or the 6-button controller when you play?
the 6-button.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using the Magnavox 550 mono, which is just with the digital tuner. I think it's called digital tuner inside of it, but yeah, I love that port. I bought that system mostly for that. I've got other games, but we love the 3DO. What about you, Brandy? What's your playing gaming time looking at right now?
Just all over the place. So whenever I get games and stuff, I like to test them out. It hasn't came yet, but my Vectrex, I completed the set.
Nice.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
So
Very cool.
that took a minute. Thank you. So I'm hoping that it shows up and it's okay. It's one of the 3D.
I completed the set too.
Mercury 3, nice. Multi-cart, nice.
I've got
I have
like
one of those
4
multi-carts
multi-carts for it. They're
Yeah.
great. Very
The guy
convenient.
did those did a great job with them. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean Kelly did this one, and I've got just here offhand. I've got another one.
Now, Brandy, do you have the
actually-
overlays and everything with them as well,
Yes.
or just the games?
I bought the
I
ones
have
that Sean Kelly has offered. I've
Okay.
got this one as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
I don't have a case for it, but I've got a few of them.
Yeah.
I think I need to get another one. I have one of the multi-carts, but I don't think I have the newest updated version of the multi-cart. So I do need to actually probably get that. But
Yeah.
I like a lot of the newer games that are coming out still.
too.
So I try to keep up with that too. So all the homebrews and everything. I jump from system to system. I'm all over the place trying to complete the Super Nintendo set currently. I just picked up, I think, 10 or so games for that. So I'm just testing whatever I get. I like to play just a little bit of each, and then, of course, they go on a shelf, and then I move on, and sometimes I'll come back, and then when I have people over and stuff, we like to just walk around and pick up whatever. So I'm always all over the place.
That's a hard set to collect them all. The
It
Super
is.
Nintendo. I mean, you get some really rare ones like the exercise bike one, and some of those can go for a pretty penny.
Eventually I'll get those. I'm just trying to get I guess I go for more of a loose cart type of thing. Certain
But I would
systems-
hope so with the prices.
Yeah.
Kind of
Even
like Odyssey 2, I went for complete in box, and then Sega Pico, I have majority of them in the box.
Okay.
And then Vectrex, most are in the box. All of them have the matching overlay though, and I have all the color wheels and everything. Just missing a few boxes for that. It's just certain things I like. All disc based. I only buy them complete in the box.
Yeah.
Maybe the manual may not be in them, and I'll complete it later. But cartridges, I'm more so on the cheaper side, just because they're so much.
I don't have many complete collections. I have a complete Virtual Boy, but there's only 14 games, 12 games for that system, right? But I even have the Japanese, most of the Japanese ones too.
Nice.
But very few full collections that I have. I'm pretty close on Super Nintendo. Maybe I'm probably missing a couple hundred to be honest. Now that I think about it, but it's a good setup.
Yeah, the Vectrex. So I was going for a full set I was going for a few full sets. I was doing Virtual Boy. I was 2 games away, and then I sold them off because I actually just got this bad boy in. I'll show this off here on stream. I've had another multi-cart. This guy here. It's got a screen on it. It's called an e-ink screen.
Oh wow!
You actually navigate the screen. I don't have a SD card in here yet. Essentially, it'll show the ROM's cover on there.
Cool.
You'll scroll through
Wow!
the menu
That's
for all the
pretty cool.
games, the homebrews, and
That's cool.
I waited 1.5 years for this guy, and he just came. So
That's
looking
awesome,
forward
man.
to doing a video on that. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one. Yeah, I was going for a full Vectrex set as well, and then I just had so many multi-carts that for me, with space, just money, it just didn't make sense for me to hang on to them right now.
Right.
Yeah, everybody's got their reasons with collecting. So,
And to go back to your original question too, how gaming's changed since I kind of started collecting, is emulations change a lot. It's evolved.
yes,
Oh yeah.
And what I like in a sense now, honestly, I prefer physical. Right, if I had a choice between, putting a cartridge or a CD and playing the game on actual hardware, I prefer that, right? But when people can like mod, like I don't know if you guys ever played in any of the MSU like Super
Yes.
Nintendo games with the updated music and the Genesis ones too. Like it's incredible what fans have done to these games to make them better. To be honest, like audio wise and visually in some cases.
Sure.
So it's really cool. That's definitely evolved for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big stuff this past, I want to say the past week, maybe 2 weeks, is the new Jaguar emulator that's out. I don't know if you've seen about that, but we've had emulation for that for a while. I'm also a big fan of that one. I like the weird and failed stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I really navigated especially to the Jaguar. It's one of my favorites that I like going back to, mostly for the homebrew.
Right. No, there's a very strong homebrew. That's how Meadows Gaming Classic started, I think, was through like a Jaguar group and started that show. Very strong homebrew there. And kind of Jaguar kind of reminds me of the 3DO in the sense that there's like a lot of bad games for the system, but there's actually a handful of really good games to check out. Right. Alien versus Predator, Tempest 2000.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of good games. If you have a Jaguar, definitely check it out. So.
Yeah, I think oh, go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was just saying, I think a lot of people get hung up on the bad games for certain systems, and then they just kind of like push it aside. It's like, no, you should like give things a try. Just because someone says it's bad, you might like it, or maybe it's a little bit different, or even those good games, that could make an entire system. So I kind of based it off of that, because a lot of people tell me, don't go for full sets. It has all that filler and stuff, and it's like, there's some really good games, and if you get them for $1 or $2, or it's in a bundle, I'm not rushing out there overpaying for everything. I hold off to find the deals, so it's like, you try out what you like, and you hold on to those really good ones.
Looking back on the Wii, what's your guys' thoughts on that system? Are you guys fans of the Wii, or are you guys like,
Yes.
I really liked it.
I am.
But it's
Big
got
fan.
at least for me though,
A lot of crap.
I hit it me growing up, so that the Wii is one of those game systems that just has nostalgia for me at this point because I was a kid playing it.
Yeah.
I love the light guns on it, the light gun
Me too.
games, because it didn't matter if you had a CRTV or not. It just you have a normal, regular TV, and you can play House of the Dead. You can play all of those different Dead Space. There's just so many different light gun games for it, and that's what I like.
Yeah, I think there's
so many.
When I look at the Wii, because I grew up, Mark. I grew up a little older. I'm a lot older than you are, but but when I look at the Wii, though, like there's definitely some good games, right? I mean, the first party games by Nintendo, awesome, right? There's some really good games for it, and even some of the games like House of Dead. You mentioned House of Dead's a really good shooter, but a lot of like bad third party games, a lot of shovelware,
a ton.
And like anyone who's going to go for a complete Wii set, like I tip my hat because that's crazy. There's like thousands of games for that system.
I think it also hit the time where like the online stores started to become a thing, and that started to become cheaper to make these indie games. These kind of like cash grab. It's like it's $2 games, so we don't really we can make money, but we're not really losing a whole lot of money on it.
And I think Nintendo was brilliant because they marketed it towards the casual gamer, like the moms and the they did the whole Wii Fit, and they really did a good job marketing. They knew who their audience were, and they did a great job marketing to the audience. That's what Nintendo does.
Yeah.
So kudos to them.
I think that like Wii Sports and Resort, excellent.
Great packing game, probably one of the best packing games for any console.
I played the crap out of both those games.
Oh yeah, that's a great game. Yeah, such a smart decision for Nintendo to pack that game with that system because it showed what the Wii could do.
Yeah,
and
it's
I think go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it was really simple, easy to play, to understand. Tech demo, but it was also had like a good replayability to it as well.
Yeah. I think when we go to the Wii U, I think Nintendo missed the mark on the Wii U. To be honest, like the name, was super confusing. I think they try to ride the coattails of the success of the Wii. When I first heard about the Wii U, I was thinking like, oh, cool, like a tablet you can play. Like I almost thought of like it being like the Switch. To be honest, like you could actually take it to go and like play it and bring it back.
Me too.
And that wasn't the case, right? That come to be, but that eventually evolved into what the Switch is now today, right? But it was just kind of a stepping stone to the Switch. I'm not to say I don't like the Wii U. I just think there's some obviously good games on the system, but again, not one of my favorite Nintendo systems for sure.
It feels more like a midlife upgrade than a full sequel.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of people just call it a Wii HD, right? So like
Right.
it's kind of an HD version of the Wii. I feel like that's kind of not given enough credit in the fact that I mean, look at how many Wii U ports to the Switch have came, and the
Right.
games look identical. You know, like having both versions.
Yeah.
Like it's like what did the Switch actually upgrade outside of being portable from the Wii U? So like that's kind of an argument in the community sometimes. Like you can't even I can't tell a difference between the Pokken tournament on Wii U and Switch. Can't tell a difference between Super Mario Brothers U and the Switch version.
To be honest, I think that's
True.
Nintendo realizing they had a lot of good games on the Wii U, so they just repackaged them on the Switch. They didn't do anything; they just put it on the
Right.
Switch cartridge. So that's probably why.
And there's
that
really
was
no
so
need
the
to.
same.
I mean, like
They look
like
they
Donkey
look
Kong Country
fine.
Freeze, and yeah, I mean, there's no need. I mean, they did some upgrades to that game. They added a new character, but I mean, if you have a great game, Nintendo's always been about the quality. Like their first party games is about content, not really graphics.
Yeah,
It's never been
Always.
like you have to almost go back to like the N64 to really think about like Nintendo being like ahead of its time when it comes to graphic
Virtual Boy.
stuff. Right, Virtual Boy, yeah. I actually like the Virtual Boy.
I do too. I do too. Big fan.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
just wish I could
controversial.
play it a little longer. Sometimes after so
It's
many
awkward,
minutes, it's
right.
a little tough.
You lay on the back. Like I found out, lay on my back and then like just lay it on my head, like looking up. That's the best way. Otherwise, I get like my neck starts hurting if you start playing on the table or something.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this year I can do the video out mod for it. The person that was doing one of them, like the primary one that people use, is not. They don't have any available.
Wow.
But it's a good option. Like it's a good option to have. Like my problem is just obviously like trying to hold it up or doing like you
Right.
said, Lane. You just can't play it that long that way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's back in the '90s when virtual reality was big, and that's the next big thing, and certainly it wasn't the Oculus of what we have today, right? I mean, in
Right.
terms of virtual reality, it was a little ahead of its time.
But it paved the way. I mean, it did
It
pave
did.
the way for that. I do credit the Virtual Boy with a lot. I mean, it is a 32-bit system. Sometimes people
Yeah.
don't even realize that.
The sound's actually really good too. The stereo sound on it,
Yes, it
really
is.
good output. I have a homebrew at Portland Retro Game Expo. I bought. It's called Hyper Fighting. It's like a homebrew.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Street Fighter 2.
Mhm.
And only I don't know how many were made, maybe 100, maybe less, I don't know. But it's basically someone took the Genesis port of Street Fighter 2 and ported it to the Virtual Boy in 3D.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I
it
did
plays.
see that.
It is amazing. It's really cool that people have done that and created new games for it. I actually have like a ROM version of Mario Kart that was unreleased. That was
Yep.
supposed to be for the Virtual Boy. And it's not very polished, but you can kind of see where they're going with it, and it looked really cool again in 3D. So I think it had a lot of potential. I think it just didn't do very well for Nintendo standards.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've been doing research because I'm going to do a video on the Hyper Flash, and when I pulled this up the other day, it looks like there is 64 homebrews for the Virtual Boy as of now.
Wow.
There's everything from
Oh.
like actual just kind of tech demo visual sort of
Mhm.
thing that they do. I got this, and they have some of those. There's this one called Bad Apple that they kind of
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. This kind of changed the game for me because I love the support for the homebrews and I like to get those physical copies,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
they can be expensive too.
Right.
And I
Um,
want to make sure with those I like the game, you know.
I was really hoping for the 3DS that Nintendo would put together a compilation for the Virtual Boy for the 3DS. I mean, they could have done it,
Yeah.
and they didn't. And it's too bad.
There's people
Yeah.
working on an emulator for that though, and there's actually games you can access now and play. I haven't played them personally, but doing some research for this, I've seen, and they look pretty cool. Like
That's great.
Mario Tennis is on there,
Nice.
Jack Bros. A few of the
Wow.
a few of the pretty good games. So it's cool what people are doing with this stuff, and I just
Yeah.
it keeps this community alive and just running. People have so
For
much
sure.
so much love
Passion
for
for
these
it.
systems. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure, 100%.
I did want to acknowledge a couple comments here. We've got well, I didn't realize we got so many. It's kind of flooded in, but we'll
Piled up
He
on
said-
a little bit.
Tax my butt said I'd rather have actual hardware for sure. I do have an emulator on my phone that does Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Cool.
Daniel says cool episode and guest.
Thank you.
It looks like I played a lot of Wii in my college years. Plus, I have one that's GameCube compatible. Yeah, that's.
I think that's the best GameCube. It's the first iteration where you could.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
the easiest way to play GameCube games now.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree, and cheaper, really, if you like look into getting the GameCube component cables and you want to go all out. Like,
Yeah, where you kind
Wii
of
is
I
have
the
did
way
to
to
like
go.
that they did that backwards compatibility. They did the same thing with the Wii U and the Wii, and I mean that was cool.
it's a selling point, really.
Mhm.
Looks like we got Carl Peterson says love the Wii, Wii Sports Resorts and Wii Sports, Resident Evil 4, GoldenEye, Mario Strikers, Smash Bros. Brawl, and loved Gunblade / LA Machine Guns. I haven't heard that last one, but
Yeah,
that's
it's a good
cool.
shooter.
It's a good list of good games for sure.
Yeah.
Mystical said Wii U is a Zelda machine. If you download the DS games too, that is true. It is the best way to access most Zelda games. There's like, with the Virtual Console, like 19 different games. I could be wrong on the exact number, but it's a lot. All the
Wow.
Game Boy games and Minish Cap and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like Bruzzy says. Hi y'all, been watching Gamester since All Gen Gamer days.
Oh, nice.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
I love
Thank
that
you.
podcast.
Yeah, I miss it.
Mega Zero just says, "Hey guys," and "Hey John." So,
What's up?
awesome, appreciate it, guys. So kind of talking about some of the stuff that we have. What are because we do content and video as well. So what are some of your goals for like this year and kind of moving forward the future of GameSter81 and just what you're doing as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. So I think this year I'm going to put a lot of focus on GameOn Expo.
Yes.
And then just I'm really excited about that event. It's for those who don't know, it's an event that I run in Phoenix. It's a gaming event and anime event, and started in 2015. It took a big hit because of COVID. For 2 years we didn't have it. So last year, 2022 was the first year we kind of came back really strong. So I'm really excited for this year, and so we're gonna have some amazing guests. You guys will be coming down here, Brandon, right? You guys are gonna have a panel out there. So that'll be awesome to have you guys down there. So
Yes,
very
sir.
excited about that. And then more. I want to go to more gaming events. On that note, I want to go to like Too Many Games. I want to go to Midwest Gaming Classic and some other shows and just meet people and do some more content there. I want to finally release Sydney Hunter and the Curse of the Mind for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, modern Xboxes. Justice Beaver, which is a game we've been working on forever for Super Nintendo, for CollectorVision. That's going to be wrapped up this year, and so I'm excited for that too. So a lot going on.
It's awesome. Yeah, Brandy, have you played the Sydney Hunter game? You did?
I do have it.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome!
for
Thank you.
Nintendo.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I love that game. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, it's done well. It's currently on the Switch. It's also on the Steam, and then Atari VCS and Arcade, which is cool. So
Nice.
we're excited to finally bring to the other consoles, but it's been a struggle. It's a lot, very much harder to bring a new game to modern platforms than I realized, to be honest, compared to like a homebrew. Different markets, obviously.
Does it have to do with the newer operating system of the software or the hardware?
It's a menagerie of multiple things that you have to do, jump through hoops with Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, and like for example with Sony, you have to like basically have a dedicated VPN to get onto their DevNet servers, right? So we have to have like they want a dedicated IP basically. So we have to I have to share a VPN with the programmer, and we got to coordinate when it's to be on, and they're very strict about who can log into their servers, which I get, but it's like no other company does that, and it's just a big hassle. So
They just want to make it a pain, apparently.
yeah, and then so basically where we're at with it, it's ready, it's queued up, ready to go for PlayStation 5 and 4. We're just waiting for it to release at the same time as Xbox, right? But like a classic story. So we're reporting to Sony, right, for North America, goes through just fine, and then we port to like European Sony team, which is a completely different team, and then they all of a sudden catch things that were like that the other team didn't catch, right? And so like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. Essentially, it's like Yeah, it's
It sounds
interesting.
frustrating.
It is very
Yeah, it's like
frustrating,
when you have
but
too
it
many
will be worth
people
it in the end.
there.
We're excited though. It'll be worth it for sure. You definitely live and learn, and learned a lot of things for sure.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, having it ported to those platforms brings a whole new audience of people that might
Mhm.
only have the
True.
PlayStation. So I
Yeah,
love that.
very
That's
true.
awesome.
Yeah, we're
That's
excited.
really cool.
Yep.
I would love to hear a little bit more about getting it on the Atari VCS. I'm very interested in all the stuff surrounding that and everything kind of going on with it. How was the process with that, and just kind of your thoughts on
They were
that?
cool. I mean, that was probably one of the easier platforms to get on, to be honest with you. And I'd say for the amount of, I don't know how many VCSs have sold per se, but I can tell you that our copies have probably like the ratio of how many units are out there is probably higher than obviously Steam because everyone has a PC, obviously Switch because everyone has a Switch. So there aren't as many games on the VCS that there are compared to other platforms. So our game's done fairly well on that platform, which is good, exciting.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you happen to see the announcements for the Atari 50th collaboration with My Arcade? Did you see any of that?
I don't know. Fill me in.
So they've got something called a Game Station Plus. It's hard for me to describe it, but it's got, Randy, do you remember maybe like 150 games or 200 that come with it? I think like 200. So it reminds me of like a replacement of an Atari Flashback.
Okay. Nice.
But they're all in the color and style that they're using for their Atari like 50th anniversary. So it's like that
Oh, I think I
brown.
did see something about this. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, a little handheld, and then a mini arcade unit that I think you can also
Nice.
plug up to the TV. So I'm like, I want to be optimistic about it,
Yeah.
but my experience with My Arcade has not been great. Their products.
Right.
So yeah, John Hancock was talking about it last week, and
That's great.
just, I kind of wonder how that's going to go.
I'm excited. On a side note, though, just real quick, I'm excited that we're going to be releasing some of our games, like City Hunter games, for the Evercade, which is cool. I'm excited working with them. Not City Hunter Curse of the Mind because that's more in advance. That game won't work on it, but like the ones for the Intellivision, Super Nintendo, and ColecoVision. We're doing a group collection and release on the Evercade, so I'm excited about that. So.
That's really cool. I got the EXP that came out, the new handheld.
Did you guys hear about
what
what happened to him?
No, what happened?
So I was talking to the CEO. They're in England, where I was talking to them last week, and I guess right before Christmas, they had a big shipment. It was like literally a couple months, like in the city, like in the UK where their office is. And he was explaining to me that I guess for some reason the trucks up there they have like cloths. They don't have like, it's like here where they have like a box truck. It's more, and someone like cut the cloth overnight and like took all the games, all the limited edition systems. So they lost out a lot, which is unfortunate. So it sounds like his insurance is going to cover it, which is good. But he's been keeping an eye on eBay for people selling these systems for like crazy amount of money.
Yeah, it's wild. I do like that they're it really is. I like that they're giving a focus with homebrew developers because they're doing like the 4-packs.
Right.
So I got that. I think it was Tanglewood and something else that I have, which was like a Genesis homebrew.
Right.
So it's cool they're spotlighting those because I like the Evercade.
Yeah.
The all the iterations they've had of that has been pretty cool. So that's
we're excited to work with them.
Do you have any? I wanted to spotlight GameOn Expo, so I'd love to hear more about it. And if you have maybe anything that you can announce here that you're allowed to, but I definitely want to give you the platform to spotlight that. So I'd love to.
I mean, we just announced a couple days ago, earlier this week. First guest is Nolan North, he's the voice of Nathan Drake from Uncharted, which is exciting. He's voiced a bunch of really cool things, which I'm excited to meet him. So, as far as stuff, I mean, the best way to explain GameOn Expo for those who haven't been before would be like, imagine a Comic-Con, but geared for gamers, essentially, right? So there's like a large vendor hall, people selling games. We have free play gaming area, free play arcade, tabletop gaming as well. So we have a pretty big D&D element and Magic and Pokemon cards and all that stuff too. big anime part too. We have a maid cafe and panels and so it's a really like we want to gear towards the casuals more than anything else. I mean, obviously diehards are welcome and they'll have fun and feel home, but we know that gaming is so broad and can really appeal to so many people, whether you're into retro or modern. We have a little bit of everything. And we don't want an event where people are going to go to it and be like they feel overwhelmed or like they're not welcome because they're kind of out of their element. We want something that's going to be inclusive for everyone. So super excited about the future of the show.
I think that's fantastic too, because
yeah.
So for me, I got into going to conventions a little bit late. I don't know if I didn't have people to go with. I was always a little bit worried in that sense. But then the last couple years, I started going to some like smaller ones, and then we have like too many games pretty close by in Pennsylvania, so that one is like a little bit larger. I have not been to like any of the Midwest, the South, or even like the West. So the few that I have been to, it is nice to see certain things, but to have one like you explained that has a little bit of everything, it's like really cool to see that, because sometimes you'll go to certain ones and you go to a toy convention, they have like one table of video games, whereas maybe you wanted to see just a little bit more, because sometimes toys and stuff they overlap with different things, and like you were saying, like the tabletop and the free play, and sometimes it's nice to see all of that, because you like to go there, you like to play games, you like to get your family involved. If you have your family or your friends are into different things, you all come together, and it's like you feel included. So that's pretty cool that you have all of that.
Yeah, this past year we rolled out a new thing called, it's a kind of plan where it's called Conquest. It's basically like a what's it like a oh, I'm trying to make my brain. It's okay. It's basically a scavenger hunt. Basically what it is, it's like so basically we give you a thing and we give you a piece of paper, or you can go online and we have different things you can do, right? So like, for example, take a picture of a certain type of cosplayer, or take a picture of you playing a certain game and post it, and if you do all these things, at the end of the day we'll give you like a ribbon to put on your badge, and we'll give you some really cool like perks, and for example, we'll just kind of keep people more in activities and things people can do, essentially, right? And just we didn't want just a vendor hall. We didn't want a swap meet, right? We wanted something that like people can go and shop an amazing vendor hall, but also like go and attend a panel or meet some of their favorite guests, or voice actors, etc. So that's probably been one of the most crazy thing, is like meeting these guests, right? Like I'm pretty good friends with Daniel Pacina, who's like Mortal Kombat, right? So he's like one of the guys who was like Johnny Cage and Scorpion, like one of the founding guys of Mortal Kombat. So I never would imagine growing up as a kid that I would have like got to know him as an adult, and like he's on my cell phone contact list, right? Or like Tim Kitzrow, who's the voice of NBA Jam or NFL Blitz, right? And like he did a special video for my kids, which is wild. He did like they were playing NBA Jam and announced it live, right? So it was like I would have never imagined that as a kid to meet these guys, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, and I also, sorry. So when I met Daniel Pacina, so like we actually had like a legit conversation, and when you meet some of these people, it doesn't even matter, they'll sign whatever, they'll take the pictures, they're goofing around, and then you're just chit chatting like nothing else, was going on. It's really a great time that they make you feel all inclusive. Like it's great.
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah, some of the people I've met, I mean, just, being honest with you, having you on here, my brother, I live in Ohio, my brother moved to Australia, and he is actually he's actually a few years younger than me, and turned me on to getting back into like the collecting. I don't know that I would have called myself a collector pre 2008, 2009. I was just a gamer, whatever, and saw that people were making content on YouTube, and I just, from there, it was like, all hands on deck.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I appreciate too that Game On Expo is, keeping it not just geared to one category, not just retro gaming, not just modern gaming. I think that you having, being outside the box with anime, everything video game adjacent, that's the way to go. and also, being more than a vendor hall, giving activities for people to do, having the guests, I love all that. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a learning curve, I won't lie, and it's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but I think it's worth it in the end. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I see your posts about it and videos and things you've done, and it's a lot of work. People don't have any idea that for a 1, 2, 3 day event that you're working on stuff every day all year long.
Yeah.
So
it's very expensive to run an event. I don't think people realize like the nickel and dime stuff I have to deal with, right? Like for example, Wi-Fi. Like how much do you think Wi-Fi would cost at an event? Do you have any guess how much you think Wi-Fi would cost? Brandon, how much did you pay for Wi-Fi at an event like that? What would be too much for you?
Like for for you to pay for the convention?
Like for me to pay, like if I wanted to do
$1,500.
like $1,500. Okay.
I've worked with conventions, so I have a little bit of an insight.
Okay, that would be an amazing deal, to be honest. What I'm paying, what they want me to pay. What's that?
I was just playing the higher lower game.
Yeah, no, it's higher. Definitely higher than that.
Right? Oh wow!
So they invoiced me, and I didn't pay it. So we end up doing like hotspots. We kind of work around it, so we don't, because I'm like, ethically I can't pay this much, right? But they were asking for close to $20,000.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
For 3 days. Yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy. Like if I showed you the expenses, you're like, well, that's a car payment. I'm not talking about like a monthly payment like that. You could buy a Tesla with these payments I'm making for some of this stuff. It's ridiculous. But in the end, it's worth it, and it's a lot of fun, and it's good. So
we all appreciate it. We really do. I know people probably don't seem like it, but without these events, just like the years with COVID,
right?
Like you said, all of this going away. I think so many people were like itching to get back out there again, and when are conventions coming back? When is this going to be a thing? I miss my friends, and then just you meet up with other YouTubers, and it's like you never had a break. Like you guys just continue on, like you just talked yesterday. It's great to see everyone.
And I will say, everyone during COVID, super cool. Like I reached out to every single vendor, because we had vendors that were signed up for 2020 show, right? And I gave them an option. I said, look, we'll refund you the money, even though if I were to refund everyone, it would bankrupt the show, right? But I didn't tell them that. But I said, we'll refund your money, we'll give you the option, or if you want to carry it over till whenever the show happens, you have the option. And so I'd say we retained about 95% of the vendors, which is huge, just by doing that. So I think people were really and I'm thankful for that, to be honest, because like I said, if they were all said they want our money back, I don't know if I would have been able, because there's expenses I had to pay, and I didn't get my money back on some of the deposits I made.
Right.
So, but no, it's been good. It's been a great learning curve. I'm kind of interested, like to your point, you mentioned like that everyone was going out last year because they were like all didn't go out for a while. I'm kind of curious this year if there's still going to be that same demand, because we grew by 40%, right? So I'm kind of curious if that's going to continue. I hope it does, but we'll see.
I saw so many people happy and how much fun they had last year at your event.
Thank you.
Talked to John Riggs. He was talking it up. There were so many people that I talked to that were just talking your event up, and I know it was a lot of work for you being that first year back.
Yeah.
And affected you for sure. It's a lot, but we appreciate it, and pretty excited to go out this year. I know that
it'll
be a fun experience.
We get to see you guys, for sure.
So I'll check a couple comments here. I'm not trying to ignore you guys, I promise. It's a buttload here. We've got Mega Zero. It says, what's up, everyone? Got Bruzzy. It says hello. Pac-Man Case says, hey, and he said podcast back to back for Brandy. Should be on another podcast.
Nice.
Got and then Pac-Man Case also says hope to get to go to many more cons this year. Which,
amen.
That's I know me and Brandy especially are looking forward to that. Mark, I don't think you've been out to a convention in a while, so
like 2018 was like the last year I went to a convention that was all the way in Atlanta. It's been a while for me.
Mark, where do you live?
I live out in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, right now.
Okay.
So, and then the region of the U.S., just a little north, a little bit cold.
Right on.
It'll be cool. Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to. We'll be going out to a few other conventions, and I like to hit and support those, especially locally every year. But but it's a lot of work. So I try to give that biggest support. Just for people
Appreciate it.
watching, especially very small conventions that are trying to start up. It's a lot to get that word out there. It's a whole other level of getting, hundreds of people to come to your event that like say they've never been to before. The promotion for it, it's day after day. It's a cycle.
I am by all means no expert at doing this show, so please don't think of me coming off as like a know-it-all or anything like that. But I will say one thing I have learned doing this is it's all about relationships, right?
Yes.
It's all about making those connections. Don't worry about, I shouldn't say this, but like if your goal is to make money year one, even year two possibly, then you're in it for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
I would definitely focus on relationship. Like I developed relationships with local game stores. I gave away the farm the first couple. I gave away literally did a
You
gave
lose
away
money.
tickets. Yeah, I gave away tickets first couple years. We did a Groupon and we literally I think I was only taking like $3 for every ticket we sold for the first. I mean, it was really minimum. But I wanted people to come experience it because I knew word of mouth was huge. I knew that if I were to develop those relationships in the community, that people will talk and you put in positivity stuff and you take it out, right? And that's exactly how it's been going. So
It's awesome. Yeah, you got to be passionate about it. We all definitely realize that. You don't make money on them, especially for a majority of conventions. 90%, you don't make money for a long time, and it's
last year, 2022 was the first time we broke even, a little bit past broke
Wow.
even, right? So I made a little bit of money, and honestly, I just put it right back in the show this year.
Yes.
So I still have my day job. So and would I like to make money to the point where I am profitable and I can quit my day? There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, I'd love to get that point, and I think someday I will get there, but it takes time.
You gotta like foster something and grow it. And it's just different
gotta
things
plant
take
that-
different amount of time to grow and get it where you want it to
Right, for sure, 100%.
That's with
Well,
anything. So I mean,
Yeah.
That's true.
it's definitely
Yeah.
great though.
I agree. Yeah, we definitely love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you want to promote before we have to let you go? I want to make sure that you get out on time. And
No, I appreciate
How's-
that. Again, I wish I could spend some more time. Speaking of work, I got a work meeting dinner tonight that I don't know why my
Sure.
boss scheduled something Sunday night, but he did, and so I was able to push it back, and I appreciate you guys' flexibility. But so anyway, no, I mean just Game on Expo, GameOnExpo.com. Gamester81 on YouTube and social media. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Star Wars Nut 77.
Star Wars Nut 77. I was going to ask you about it, but
I'm
I
a
ran
big,
out of time.
big Star Wars fan. And Collector Vision Games, collectorvision.com. We make classic games for classic consoles and
Sure.
and even City Hunter, Crystal Mine for modern platforms as well. So
Well, we will have all the links down below in the description. We'll make sure we get to promote you and share around. And we look forward to come out on Game on Expo. It's going to be a good time. We're definitely all looking forward to it. Looking forward to the opportunity for you giving us to do a panel. And
of course,
we'll let you go. And you have a good night, John. Appreciate it.
thank
We'll
you.
have you back on soon. I promise.
I would love to be on soon, and thank you guys. It's been so much fun. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
You have a good night.
All right,
Night.
take care. Bye.
All right. Mark, would you mind going ahead and starting that news while I step away for just a second? We've got news. If you have Google Drive pulled up, I apologize. I've had to try to step away for
Appreciate
a
y'all
second.
for those. Oh no, so I was gonna say, everybody, appreciate y'all for joining us. Guests had to go away after the first hour, so we have probably another half hour of some news stuff that we're gonna talk about before we fully end the podcast. But because stuff we normally talk about first, which is kind of like moving stuff around. It's a weird podcast as far as how we had to adjust the time. So I know Brandon brought this up. Have you heard anything, Brandy, about it? About the Zelda Breath of the Wild toys spotted at Walmart?
I have not spotted them yet. I'll definitely have to make a trip out and see what we got.
Yeah, it definitely
So
sounds. It sounds like something like they might have extra stock they're trying to purge right before the next game comes out. It's like, hey, before we fully swap over, we have anything that's just still sitting in a warehouse that was not being sold online. Let's just try to ship it and try to empty out this old stuff.
The only toys I think that I've seen are McDonald's the Mario toys.
Oh, the Happy Meal
Like the
toys.
Happy Meals. Yeah.
I don't.
Someone
I haven't
told
gotten.
me that they
I haven't gotten a
recently
Happy Meal in like
started
20
them.
years.
I'm guilty of that. I buy two, one for me and myself. So I always go in there. Usually it's like the Pokemon related ones, but I'll definitely have to try and get the Super Mario ones for the movie.
I know. I'll have to ask. Just order one randomly, see what they give me. Just
Yeah, I
go in there.
usually,
Can I just buy the
I
toy?
make friends.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
you go to McDonald's too much when there's always like one person at the drive-thru that I see and like, oh, I know you. I'm like, I think I'm coming here too many times.
And no, it's like the same person over and over too.
Yeah.
And usually you just ask them, "Hey, can I get number 1 or number 3, like the toy?" That way you don't repeat the same thing. If they don't let you buy them all at once, some do and some don't. So
Yeah, I guess it depends on the Walmart for sure. Brand, I think I'm gonna wait for him to come back for this one. He put, yeah, there's a lot there. So I know, I think it just dropped today. Were you planning on watching the new The Last of Us series on HBO?
yes, my buddy actually wants to have like a watch party for it. So I think we're all gonna like come together and watch it. So I
Yeah.
think it's going to be like this big thing. I'm very excited about it, but I've not seen it yet.
I know they've been promoting the crap out, like half of my like Facebook feed. It seems like now is like The Last of Us. They're just everything that's related to it. They're just been pumping out like ads for it like crazy.
I know so many people who are excited for it. I was just talking about it last night. Some of my other friends, and we're hoping for the best here. You know, I love all of these different series and spin-offs and movies, and I'm all for it. So as many that keep coming out, I'm hoping that they do well, and we can just kind of keep it going because it is very fantastic. You know, the story, they can do so much. There's just so much opportunity with this.
You think it's a story they couldn't screw up, but I've said that before about other adaptations, whether it's like anime or game or something like that, and they've somehow screwed them up before. So I will always remain skeptical when it comes to adaptations.
As long as it doesn't look as bad as the original Mario Brothers movie, then
Which has nothing to do with the original IP.
then I think we're good. Or the first, variation of Sonic, where it made everyone so mad that they had to go back and actually redo it, As long as we don't get to that point again.
Yeah. So do you know if it's dropping like an episode? Do you know how many episodes? Or is HBO dropping like episodic? Or are they doing like what Netflix does and just dropping the whole series all at once?
I thought... So, I'm not 100% sure. I would have to look into this. But my buddy from last night made it sound like it was going to be episode by episode.
That's what I got.
I could be wrong.
That's the feeling I got, but I wasn't like 100% sure. Because like anything, I like to binge shows, so I usually don't. If it's episodic, I'll wait for it to completely be done, that season to be done airing, and then I binge watch a show. But I'm also one of those like I'll hold off and see what the actual see what the fans say.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm gonna be a little bit on the positive side.
I guess you have to be.
So
Or at the
we'll
very
see.
least, you don't have to be like it doesn't have to be a 1-for-1. It just has to be better than every other adaptation, and everyone's gonna rave about it. So it doesn't have a high bar it has to get over to be successful, if you ask me. Welcome back,
And you
Brandon.
never know too with different things where
Hey,
people
oh,
always, people who are super fans, sometimes they are a little bit more critical. So you do have to, think about that.
It's hard not to be critical of Dragon Ball Evolution.
That movie's so bad. I assume you're talking about Last of Us, right?
Yeah, that's the topic we were talking about.
Speaking of Dragon Ball Evolution, play the PSP game. It's actually a good fighter for a terrible movie. Worth checking out.
Doesn't take. I mean, fighters. It seems like it'd be really hard to mess up a fighter game. It's just if there's a story there, it might be terrible.
I mean, has anybody played Street Fighter the movie, the game? Pretty good game actually.
I haven't really played a Street Fighter
really?
game or watched any of the. Thinking of that, there was I don't remember what it is, but there's some anime show on like Sony or Samsung's like online TV thing. I don't remember what it's called now, but they were airing some really like 80s, 90s, some animated Street Fighter show. And it looked
Probably Alpha.
It looked really cheesy. It was old. It looked like maybe late
So
80s,
probably the
early 90s.
cartoon.
It was a cartoon.
There was a cartoon. Okay,
I
yeah,
don't
there was
know when it
actually
came
like
out.
American cartoon that came out for that.
That's what it felt like. I was watching like a really old cartoon. I'm like, oh, ooh, it's Street Fighter, but this looks terrible or really cheesy.
I grew up watching that. It's not great, but I have like that nostalgic, kind of hit for it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the same with like the Super Mario Bros. Super Show and the Zelda cartoon we talked about a few days ago.
There was a Super Mario animated show that was like a decent show. At least in the Mario world, it didn't look like, I don't know,
There's a
cyberpunk.
few. There was a whole series on just Super Mario Bros. 3. There's a whole animated series for that.
Yeah, I remember seeing some episodes of that.
Yeah, those are pretty fun, for sure.
I guess it's what it was. Mecha 2001 said Street Fighter cartoon was on USA. I think circa 94. Sounds about right, and the animation looks like it fits the time period for sure.
Oh yeah, easily.
I just thought it was funny.
Super Mario Bros. 3 on NBC. Yeah. I was watching those. I grew up watching all those. Plus, like it was like DVD sets that came out for those. They were like the full series set. And I went back and watched those maybe 10 years ago or
that's where
something.
I saw it from. I think my brother had like one of the seasons. That's why I didn't watch the whole thing, but I'd watch like an episode here, episode there.
Yeah. Same with the Sonic. Yeah. Yeah, there was a few of those too. There was just like the first series, just Sonic the Hedgehog, and then like Sonic Underground.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few of those. I like those. They're cheesy.
So
cheesy,
I saw Bruzy just make a comment about it. Did you ever see a Mortal Kombat cartoon in like the mid '90s? I didn't even know they had a cartoon. I don't know how you make that. Because I guess at that time it's known for blood and gory. It's still known for that, but a different level for that time.
Oh, for sure.
It seemed like it would have been a controversial move to turn that into like a cartoon.
Well, for that, if that came out in '95, I wouldn't have been able to watch that year for that. Born in '93, but I watched that later. Yeah, I mean, what do you call it? What's the word where they rerun shows and it has like a
rerun?
Whatever
it's either rerun or syndication. One of the two is which.
Yeah, syndication. Yeah, and syndication. So some of those were always rerunning, and like same with Super Mario Bros. 3. That came out in '94, so I was only a year old, but obviously I played, and we were always like a little behind on the games, a little behind kind of on everything. We didn't have a lot of money, so. All that stuff I definitely watched. My dad liked the Street Fighter cartoon, so we watched that together. There was other ones too. There was another Street Fighter cartoon that came out, and then obviously they hit the anime with like Street Fighter Alpha, which is actually really good. They made a whole movie for that too. Those are worth checking out for sure. But going back to Last of Us, I don't know. I haven't watched anything. Did you guys talk about like some of the reviews and stuff, or?
Just more generalization. I know Brandy was talking about setting up a watch party with some friends.
Okay. I'll be waiting for that invite.
Come on over. It'll only take you a couple minutes, right?
Yeah, it'll take a couple minutes. I'll be there in a minute.
It's only like a 10-hour drive.
I was looking.
Like 30 minutes head up.
Oh, easy. Just I can be there real quick. I was looking too. I actually had it pulled up earlier. There was I think like 17 different like 9 out of 10 reviews. I saw a lot of good. I don't think I've seen anything negative. Yeah, it has a 97% for Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah,
So-
I think because I know when we talked about it for one of the videos we did earlier in the week, there's only like one review
It's not
place
even
that actually
negative.
gave it like a 2 out of 4, I guess. It's not
That's
big.
such a
They gave
weird
it
review
like
score.
middle of the road, I guess. But pretty much everybody else was like raving. It's like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 type thing.
It's weird with the critic reviews because like it doesn't always match. You can have a critic review for a 9 out of 10, like the the viewer review is like a 30% for Rotten Tomatoes. But I feel like this one, I feel like they probably did do it right. They put a lot of money into this. Can I say I'm like super excited about it? Not necessarily. We know what the story is, but I think it is cool. It reaches a whole new audience. People that watch just HBO and are going to have no idea that it's even a video game series. So it's cool to get that out there. Like there's going to be a lot of those. I mean, especially for HBO. like they're gonna have no idea it's even related to a video game. They're just gonna
Probably
watch
for
it.
most people that see it because they're advertising it. But I mean, we're so far removed, and I think that's the issue that some issues you probably had with Resident Evil when it came out. We're so far removed from the zombie craze of like the late '90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
to where it got that the market got oversaturated. It's like outside of like The Walking Dead, if we really got it like a zombie movie type thing, that's kind of where it falls. It does something a little bit different, it's more like a fungus than a virus, but it's definitely tapping into something different, and it's kind of a dead market. So I think it would succeed, even if it's was not related to they did something completely different and some of the fans of the games didn't like it. I think there's a big enough market that would like it. I don't think it would matter.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be more excited if it was like a spin-off or like showing story that we don't know. Like we know what
essentially
happens,
retelling
right?
the
So
story. And it's not a
retelling the story with actors.
It's not
so,
a complex story. That's what people liked about it, at least from what I remember
It's
and what I
probably
liked
why
about
it works, right?
It did something. It's something fairly new, somewhat cinematic for game.
Sure.
The gameplay wasn't that hard, but it was a really good, like, character-driven story. Like the character interaction between Ellie and Joel. That's what drove the story of the game, because it's obviously a story-driven game. So their interactions, because obviously the greater scope is not doing anything new or groundbreaking as far as storytelling goes. But it really, and I guess that's the one thing people hope they do is focus on the character interactions, because that's everything to the game.
Yeah, I went through one of the reviews earlier, and it just says, like, for their tagline, "Is this the best video game adaptation we've ever seen? I think so, and I've seen more than 20," and that's their little tagline. I think that they're like an independent video game. I don't want to mention it on stream or anything. I don't know.
It's
We'll
also
deal with
hard
that, but
to those because you're dealing with opinions, and people's opinions of adaptations are going to change because some people like certain things, some people don't like other things, so they're going to preference one or the other. But it's not, there's only like a handful of IPs that have done adaptations well. So I mean, it doesn't have to compete. But moving forward, you know, if this Mario movie does great and it's a great adaptation to Mario, and then Nintendo IPs kind of get adapted, eventually there's the fear of if adaptations can finally start being done well, do they get oversaturated? Kind of like, let's say we have like a Marvel movie every year, and that market kind of feels like oversaturated.
I feel like we're finally just getting to where adaptations are working, right, Brandy? We talked about earlier, like we liked the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I feel like they're finally getting to a point where things are. So I didn't watch the Uncharted one. I don't know. Did either of you guys watch it? You did? What'd you think?
I didn't watch it.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah?
I don't know what critics and stuff said, but I actually watched it with a few people who don't know anything about video games, and they were like, you know,
It works.
like this, like the whole time. They were just like watching it, and they were like, wow, that was a great movie. What's that? You know, where did that come from? And I was like, it's a video game. And they're like, no, that's cool. I'd play that. So, like, I guess you can kind of see it as being, like, not just video game people. You can bring other people who know nothing about things into it. So that's what I'm really hoping with this particular series. Now, I didn't look up all the reviews and everything because I don't want to have any spoilers. And even though I already, like, essentially know from, like, playing and watching and stuff the games, but still, I like to go into certain things and then just, like, you know, be overwhelmed essentially by it and then have it. Like, I don't like when people say this or say that, because I don't want, like, those negative things, or if they say something, I don't want to be focused in on it. So I want to go into everything with, like, you know, this optimistic view of, wow, I can't wait to see what's next.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I get, if we weren't covering news, I would be the same way. We didn't go like a deep dive into like some of the reviews, but we looked at like the averages, and they were all, like Mark said, the only one that I saw that was even, you know, halfway negative was a 2 out of 4. Like they were all 9s. I pulled up a something earlier showing like the mass reviews, and they had 17 for major websites, 17 9 out of 10s and above, like 9.5s. So I think that I feel the same way. I don't want to go into it spoiled. I don't know that you can really go into it spoiled. I know you don't want to hear other people's opinions, but I think it's probably doing the right thing. We're finally getting to a point where, like, video game adaptations, I feel like this might be a weird opinion. I don't know if others agree, but I feel like when like Wreck-It Ralph came out, feel like that was the start of getting video game movies right. So that was my favorite video game movie for the time of all time. I loved Wreck-It Ralph.
I guess the problem is I don't know what the mindset was in Hollywood 20 years ago, but it feels like you really had to go out of your way to make video game adaptations bad to begin with, because I'm like, the script's already there, the story's already there for you to follow. Like, how you messing this up in the first place? How did Doom not get what people liked about the games right? Like, come on.
So bad. I think I mentioned this. I rewatched it on the PSP last year, the UMD. So bad. You could barely even see the movie because the movie's like entirely dark the whole entire movie. So like on the PSP being as pixelated as it is, you can't even see anything like the entire movie. I'm like, what were you doing? Just maybe even just giving a little more lighting in the movie could have improved the movie.
Where's all
a
the
little
blood
bit,
and
but...
gore? It's Doom. Like, you're just supposed to be killing demons left and right. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the story. That's like an afterthought. I don't want to see demons getting blown up with a shotgun.
Well, they had a whole team, right? So they went wrong immediately. There's a whole team.
Is a team. It felt like a B grade movie to begin with, like a B grade zombie movie. It wasn't even a good. Yeah, it wasn't even a good zombie movie at that. That's kind of what it came off as. Like, you have The Rock. Like, how is this going wrong? Like, just The Rock with a shotgun, blowing off zombie heads or demon heads, I guess technically.
Yeah, he's done those style movies before. Not the zombie part, but...
Just need constant metal guitar in the background.
Rampage. Did you guys watch Rampage?
No.
No, I didn't.
So, I thought it was fun, but it's not a good video game movie. So Brian Collin is the guy that created Rampage. So we've shouted out and talked with him before, but yeah, he got pictures. He went obviously for premiere. It was his series that he started, and I think he generally had an okay opinion on it. It was cool to see him like get pictures with The Rock and stuff. The movie's pretty bad. It was like trying to be Godzilla, but it was like super cheesy. Like Godzilla's already cheesy, right? But this was like CGI cheesy. Like if it wasn't a video game movie, it could have been a fun crap movie. But it's like, this is Rampage, and they set it up to like do more, and that's obviously not going to happen.
Man, that's not an adaptation. At least when Godzilla is kind of cheesy, it's
that's a hard
CG,
one to do, right?
And it knows
There's
it's
no
being
story.
cheesy.
There's no story for the game. Like, you just play as monsters destroying the city. So
yeah, we got some comments from Retro Rob saying he said Last of Us is a great show. I think it's the first episode dropped today. I think video games are the new Marvel. And I'm like, if it done well, that's what I feel like. They're just gonna oversaturate the market and then move to the next thing. Carl Peterson. Carl Urban did his best as Grim though. There might be a reference there that I'm missing. I don't know if it's something we were talking. It might have been one of the medias we were talking about. Retro Rob then was again saying Rampage was okay, but disappointing because I love Rampage.
Exactly.
So, seems like he feels about the same as you.
World Tour, the N64. I played that so much as a kid. The one that came out on Wii as well. Played that. I think it came out on GameCube too. I can't remember what that one's called, but
yeah, it's hard.
Hard
to tell.
Total Destruction.
Yeah, Total Destruction. That's right. Yep.
Yeah. I'm visualizing the cover art. And
that's what I'm doing too. I could see Ralph hanging on the edge of the building on the cover, but I was trying to think of the name. Yeah, it's video game adaptations. That's a whole. You could do an entire episode of a podcast about those. Did you guys ever see Pixels? Did you watch that movie with Adam Sandler? What'd you think about it?
I heard it got terrible reviews, and that's why I didn't watch it.
But it's an Adam Sandler movie, so
he has good movies though.
I always enjoy them. I like some of the bad movies that people don't like. I like when they try different things. I feel like this is just me personally. If I'm watching a movie and I'm spending time watching it, it still has entertaining value, whether it's bad or good. Because if I'm watching it from start to finish, it takes up some of my time, and I appreciate it. There's probably I can't even think right now of a movie that I've started and then stopped. I think even if they're bad, I still just you just push through them type of thing. I don't think that there's ever been movie that I just cannot absolutely watch, and I have to turn it off and walk out. I've never walked out of a theater.
I've never walked out of a theater, but there are movies I have not finished. I'm at home, I can't keep watching.
Oh yeah, I've done that a few times. Yeah, I mean, I watch B-level horror movies on VHS, right? So, like, for a long time, I collected VHS. I stopped doing that in, like, 2020, but, I mean, if it's entertaining, I like it. If it's portraying an entire franchise, that's another issue. Like, Rampage, it doesn't really portray it doesn't represent the series well, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that this series is good. Looking forward to trying to watch it. I don't know when I'm going to get around to watching it, to be honest with you. If we were doing like a review or something, I'd watch it, but it's trying to fit shows in sometimes difficult.
So you're saying
yeah.
you're going to watch it again?
Watch it again?
So that's what you're saying?
I
You gotta
haven't
watch it. You gotta watch it and tell us. I need you to do a critical dive into it, Brandon.
Mark, I want you to do a video on it, and I want you to have that out next week.
Sort of.
Covering episode 1.
Be kind of rough.
Yeah, I hope it's good. That's all I said. But did
you wrote like a whole
cover
paragraph
the,
in here that I kind of skipped over.
Oh, yeah, you want to cover that Arcade 1-Up?
You can go over it, yeah.
All right, so we've got Arcade 1-Up revealed, Miss Pac-Man Deluxe, a Pac-Man Deluxe, Class of 81 Deluxe, which is like a mix of a few games, Mortal Kombat Deluxe, which is a fitting addition to the lineup. Given these announcements took place at the CES show in Las Vegas, so this is where the Arcade 1-Up was getting some lashback. They put out, instead of some of the other games that have been talked about and people actually want, they put out the Wheel of Fortune Casino K Deluxe, which allows you bring the casino experience home, featuring 4 slot games from Wheel of Fortune plus 20 other casino games, including Blackjack, Mahjong, and the Casino K Deluxe machine features are 2 LCD screens, dual speakers, a light-up marquee, Wi-Fi leaderboards. This machine ships in late spring, early summer. So the lashback was kind of that they're putting out like a Wheel of Fortune gambling machine for home over some of the other games that have been talked about and requested for years.
It feels like all the joys of gambling, but without all the joys of gambling. Like I can't lose 20 grand.
Can't make any money.
I can't make it, but I can't lose. Like what's the point of blackjack if it's just to play the game? Like nobody plays blackjack because they like it.
I mean, do they? I don't gamble, so I don't know.
If you're playing blackjack, you play the game unless you're trying to like get your skills better. But there's only so much you can do with that.
So
then you got to think if like kids are starting to play some of it. Like let's say you get it, and then you have kids in the house. Does that open up a whole thing where these kids are like, "Yeah, I love playing the casino games. When I turn whatever,
think about that.
Go."
You go to a casino and lose $500 in like 5 minutes.
Like what does that open up? You know, thinking on the other side, what does that open up for kids? I mean, there's a lot there.
Let's bring that destruction home. Let all our kids learn how to lose money.
Like if you're gonna teach your kid how to gamble, teach them how to play poker, like a game that takes skills. And
poker's on there. There's
you can play
games.
You can play poker without the money, and it's a decent game. Because I've seen people do that, and is it euchre?
Yeah,
like the other one that I've seen people play. They don't.
That's the only one of
card games you can play without necessarily putting money on the ground because it's still a game there. But a lot of other gambling games, like let's play roulette. That's just a luck game.
Craps. Let's just throw our dice and try to win money.
This is like I don't remember who it was, but I think it was it Neil deGrasse Tyson on Joe Rogan Podcast? He was talking about something where he was like, if everybody knew statistics, like if you learned that in high school and you knew, like you thought of everything in a statistically way, you wouldn't gamble because it's geared for you to lose. Yeah.
They got to make money, right? It's a business, so of course, like your chances of winning from that, like if you do win, there's like statistics for all this stuff. So if you do win, your chances of spending the money you win to lose is like 90%. So it's like you're destined to fail with it. I was looking this up. There's tons of articles on this, and actually one bringing up Brandy's point about having this at home. It's got 20 other like casino games, so it's geared. I guess I can kind of understand, like, so thinking on both sides.
Can I just play a slots game where you just hit the button and it just does the slots?
Yeah, there's slots on it.
That's not a game.
It's not a game, but
well, if you think about it, like, they brought these games, just for instance, because I always see these when I'm out and about at thrift stores.
Sure.
Deal or No Deal and Wheel of
Yes.
Fortune and stuff on the
Plug and
Nintendo
plays.
Wii. I see those all the time, but then, like, you go to play Deal or No Deal on the Nintendo Wii, because, I'm testing these games if I'm,
Sure.
going to bundle up a system or something. I'm like, the excitement's not there. Like, you don't see the
No.
person on TV.
Yeah.
You don't see them, like, debating everything. Talking with their family, looking in their direction, their whole
All the fun of the
backstory,
show.
why they're there. It's like so different. Like, I feel like you just don't get that same experience that these people would in real life, playing that. But I guess someone out there was like, oh, someone might want to play this at home type of thing,
Yeah, I saw a comment from Carl. It was like, talking about how the OG arcade games kind of like were built to ramp up in difficulty to kind of get more quarters. But I'm like, there's still somewhat of a game there. Like slots, it's just you hit a button, you see what your result is, and whether you won or lost money. Like there's no game there if you're just playing it to play it. At least I can see there is some interaction and some gameplay with an arcade, even if it's just like a side-scrolling shooter. But I mean, it's similar but different, at least in my opinion. But
Here's like Retro Rob saying this could cater to the bars and clubs scene, though obviously for adults who host people in their game room or home bars. So I get what they're doing here. It makes sense, right?
it seems like a
This makes
really,
sense.
really niche market, though.
It seems like to me, it seems like a safe bet for them. Like these are going to sell. I think one of the issues too with me thinking about this has 2 LCD screens, so we're going to have a top level and then a below eye level.
Yeah.
So this is probably going to be like an $800 to $1,000 machine based on pricing with them, experience with their stuff before. There's probably minimum going to be an $800 machine. So I feel like
Yeah, I can see that.
Rob is right. It's going to be for the clubs, for the bars, or for the person at home that just wants it in their little, barcade in their basement. Like, I feel like it's a safe bet for them, but I think the issue is the pricing and them just totally overlooking like everything else that's been mentioned, talked about, and also that they're just going back to 2. I don't think Class of 81 has been released yet, but they're doing a Pac-Man Deluxe and a Miss Pac-Man Deluxe, which have been released at least 4 different times by Arcade 1-Up. So we've got like the, I forget what they call them, like the tabletop version. We've got the stand-up version. There's been an updated version of Miss Pac-Man, so there's been 2 different like arcade versions of that. So we're looking at like the 4th round.
Color
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
it's
how
like
many more? How many more can you do? Like, let's get some more different games.
Yeah, right.
I don't get it. And there's people, believe it or not, there are people that collect every single one of their releases. I can't imagine the total of
I mean,
trying to do that.
Everybody collects. There are people that collect coins, so there's someone to collect everything.
This is like a a minimum $500 coin. Like it's, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any arcade 1-Ups, Brandy?
So I walked into, it was like Gabe's or something, and it was around the holidays. This was a couple years back, and they had the Asteroids or Centipede or something one with like the little spinny knob,
Yep.
and I ordered the replacement spinny one so that it actually spins, it doesn't get stuck.
Yeah.
And they had it for like $50, and it was marked down to like even cheaper, so I got that one.
Wow.
Only because me and my parents stumbled into it, and
Sure.
they were like,
That's a good
you
deal.
should get it, so I did. And then one year for Christmas, they got me it was on QVC maybe,
They did so.
something along the lines of that. The one that is like the door one, or you could put it on a bar or like a table. You hang it over the door.
Like the flat?
Like the smaller ones. It's not like a full size arcade 1-Up. It's the countercades, I guess.
Oh,
no,
countercades,
it's not a countercade, but it's
Yeah.
it's bigger than a countercade. It's like thin though. It can go right on your door. It has brackets.
Oh,
for
like the
door
flat
handle.
one that you just set against. You can
Yeah.
set against like the wall and stuff. Yeah, I've seen those.
It's a Pac-Man one. I think it has Galaga and Galaxian. People do play that when they come over. So I mean, you do have benefits, and people do enjoy them, especially if you don't have space. So I do see the market. I have full-size arcade machines in my house. I literally had to take the entire door frame out when I moved in.
Love it.
I had someone come out. They widened the door frame. I had to get a brand new door, you know, of course, steel and force it and everything like that. And then we widened the whole entire door frame so that it can fit through. And then the Time Crisis one would not fit down the steps. And, like, the top part kept hitting, like, the ceiling, and I had to, like, re-spackle some of the areas. So I put it right back up, and it's in the garage along with my Virtual Cop 2. And then I should be doing quite a few other arcades. But I love those light gun ones, like Carnival, because they never made a port for a system. So I had to get the arcade machine. It was there at a game store. They worked a deal out with
Jurassic
me.
Park light gun that's never been ported.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I almost had that one, I think, twice now, but it's always finding, like, transportation. So I think in the future it would be nice to get some sort of, like, you know, like those Amazon vans, like those, like, transport vans or whatever they are, like the really big ones that are tall.
Cargo vans,
Yeah, something like that in my future would be great, so that I could just travel around and get, like, arcade machines and kiosks and, like, video games or something, and just, like, be on the go. Like, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, something like that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my grails, like, in that department is, like, the Play Choice 10, and, like, the Super Nintendo variant of that. Can't remember off the top of my head what that one's called, but yeah, I know I know a couple people that have one of those, and I know somebody that got one in 2020, at the end of 2020, that scored one of the Play Choice 10s for $300 in Sandusky, Ohio. Like, super jealous, because I'm like, I would have made an 8-hour trek for that all day. Like, that's one of my...
With the dual monitors, and
Yes.
then, you know, the little gun that they have too.
And there was actually a variant of the Play Choice 10 that was like a countercade type deal.
Yeah.
So, like, it was, which I didn't learn that until recently. I didn't know that, but yeah, cool. It's cool stuff for sure. I think that I get the market for this. I think the big thing is that, like, what the price point is probably going to be. And then I don't think I mentioned it, actually. I missed it. They're doing a Mortal Kombat Deluxe as well. So, like, out of any of those, that's probably the only one I would care about, but I would have to be, like, in the position, like, I don't already have the original release. I don't know what that includes, like a deluxe version. It doesn't say in, like, their press statement, so.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Releasing the Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man again? I don't know.
For the 500th time.
For the 500th time, exactly. Looks like we got a few more news here. We got Mark put in here Justin Roiland news.
Yeah,
both,
there was
the game and what happened.
So
with
there
that.
was something I also just saw today. On top of he was, like, currently being charged with the whole with the assault charge he had. But there's apparently, when he put out his game, I don't have the game. I can pull the name of the game back up. There was a
VR one.
Yeah, whatever weird game that he made, it kind of that Rick and Morty feel. There was also, like, allegedly where they kind of, like, paid somebody off, just buried a similar incident kind of under the table.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know too much about. I did see it on, like, the headlines. It was kind of all over, but
Yeah, I was on PC Gamer just scrolling through when I saw it. I can see if I can't bring it back up.
yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm not a Rick and Morty fan, so I don't know. You know, I don't know that it affects me too much. It's a pretty loved series, so.
So I guess there was another. I guess they quietly settled a lawsuit in 2018 for the Squanch games when they were working on that game. A similar incident that was kind of like they took care of, but they, unlike this time, they avoided the whole negative press issue that kind of came up.
Interesting.
But that was like a big topic recently, because, you know, the creator of Rick and Morty, which is a very popular show, is now facing charges, and it sounds like it's going to be an issue for him and probably for his series as a result.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's a pretty popular series too. It looks like we got announcement this week that the Google Stadia controller will be unlocked for other video game systems, which is primarily, you know, agreed upon that's the only good contribution for the Google Stadia. That controller is actually a really cool controller, so it should be accessible on, like, the Series X, PS5, just about anything with Bluetooth. They kind of had it locked behind the scenes, so you couldn't do that. So I think that's pretty cool. People are talking about using it for like emulator machines, RetroPies and different things like that. So it's cool to have that option. It could be a secondary Switch controller. And for you can get those controllers pretty cheap, but I assume that they're going to probably go up like right now.
Yeah, because the production's probably stopped at this point, so there's only a finite left.
Yeah, they halted that, so I assume that means the prices are going to go up on those.
I don't have it pulled up, but I do remember. I can't speak. Do remember seeing something along the lines of before like the Stadia officially goes offline, they were gonna put one more game on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, I didn't see that. That'd be cool. I mean,
also these I was scrolling
Stadia
through.
served up. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I saw them, but I didn't save or I'd probably dig deep enough. I can see if I can't find it again.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on that. If they did that, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, the Stadia serves a purpose, but I think it's too soon. Or I think that Google doesn't have that platform made for video games. It's kind of an argument, right? Like,
it just feels like Stadia just didn't make money. It's probably losing a lot of
it
money.
didn't make even a dent in the market. Like, I don't know anybody that talked about Google Stadia outside of negative headlines, right? Like, I don't know anybody that was using it.
There's a lot of people that don't like Google, so.
And it's streaming, right? So you got to have a good connection. You have to have.
There's a lot of people that were like, especially people that like physical media. When that came out, they were like hard push, like hard no, like we don't want streaming only.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like you could download it; it's like you had to stream it, and that got like a lot. There was benefits here and there, but for that to be a console all around it, because then you run into this issue now with what's happening. If the system shuts down, now if you spend all this money on these games, now you can't play them, and now it's just money that you'll never get back.
Yeah, it's especially me and Brandon, definitely physical guys. I got a Google Stadia on sale only for one game, which was the Bomberman Battle Royale game that came out, and it was exclusive for the time being for that, and it was for a while. But I got one for like $40, and I got it just to play that game. And at the time, I didn't have gigabyte internet until late October, so like streaming games even on my PS5 with the premium service, it wasn't doable. After like 30 seconds, it would say that the connection was weak, and it just wasn't. It didn't make sense for me, and I don't think there's enough people that even have like gigabyte internet yet to make that make sense.
Yeah. So I got what it was pulled up because I guess a few articles, but I saw the one on GameSpot first.
Sure.
So obviously the service shuts down in like 3 days on the 18th of January. But apparently they released like a week before it shut down, like a game called it was a game called Worm Game apparently that they released like a week before their service shuts down, which seems kind of weird.
Makes no sense.
It shuts down in a week. Here's a game you can play. It just seems kind of weird.
So for a couple of days you can play this game and it's not being ported.
I mean, it looks like the game launched in 2019. Like, it wasn't originally a Stadia game. It's just like they're throwing one last game on like a week before the service
like a throwaway. Like, hey,
we have the rights to this game. Just put it up there.
Play this until it ends at midnight on, the 21st or whatever. That's kind of funny.
So I guess I guess from Google they said Worm Game is a humble title we use to test many of Stadia's features, starting well before our 2019 public launch, right through 2022. So I guess it was more of like I may have misgrades it, but I guess it was more of like a testing thing they used just to test the Stadia features. So I guess they decided to throw it on there a week before, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear about that one. That sounds it's like just a test game.
Yeah, it looked like a game they used to test the actual service before they just shut it down.
It looks like kind of a throwaway game from what I'm seeing too. It doesn't, maybe. Just from the screenshot I saw. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure that
I'm not gonna get one
I'm
before
sure
it shuts down.
a mobile game, right? Like it's probably a mobile.
Probably a cheap game because if it's a game they made to just test features, it's probably not gonna be an in-depth game.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks like something I wouldn't care too much for playing. Go very simple Atari game, 2600. That's very interesting. It looks like our last topic we got for tonight's Madden NFL 23 will cut CPR touchdown celebration following Damar Hamlin's cardiac arrest, which I believe was last week, right?
Yeah, I guess this news. I guess the Madden put out within the past week. It's probably about a week old at this point, but I think it was last week when he went down, and then they had to give him CPR. So I guess Madden had, for those that actually played, had some kind of CPR celebration. I don't play Madden, so I don't know exactly what it was, but apparently, in a result for this thing happening in real life, they're just taking out this kind of small celebration. It's kind of like a throwaway, like, yeah, we're gonna remove this because this thing happened.
So these games had a celebration for somebody.
Yeah,
for
so
that happening?
Because in real life, if you watch NFL, they have a lot of teams, offense, defense have like touchdown celebrations. So I don't know if this was from a real celebration, but in game there was a CPR type celebration, probably as a mocking the defense that they just kind of ran over. It's like, oh, we got to resuscitate.
You could celebrate in the game somebody having to get CPR.
Apparently.
That's awful.
I don't know. I assume it's along the lines that we got to resuscitate the defense because we just embarrassed them or we just destroyed them or something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty open, but I think that's probably a good thing. I would never celebrate somebody having to get CPR.
Don't know how many people watching I don't think any of us actually play Madden. I haven't played a Madden game.
I don't either.
Like 5 or 6 years.
I don't.
It's been years.
We get a new NCAA football game, then that I would play, but Madden not as much.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brandy, what do you think about that?
About the Madden stuff?
Yes.
I mean, there's not much
celebrating
to it. They're just
celebrating somebody getting CPR. That's terrible.
I think I'd have to look that up specifically to know what even where that even came from or what.
Yeah, I don't.
It's definitely odd. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Looks like we got a few more comments here. We've got Bruzzy. It says, "Great podcast. Glad I found you on Twitter." Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you found us on Twitter. We've been hitting that pretty hard, so that's really cool. He said, "That seems smart." I assume for removing that. And it said, "Dude acts like he's dead. They go over there and act like they revive him. I play Madden 93 and NFL Blitz, so." Yeah, I haven't played Madden in a long time. I like NFL Blitz 94.
Yeah, I mean, because it happened, it makes sense to removed it. But I could see the concept of why it's in the game to begin with, because it's kind of supposed to be mocking the other team, essentially. That's what most celebrations are, kind of insulting the other team because you just scored a touchdown on them.
Gotcha.
It's a football thing, I guess. If you don't watch football, you wouldn't get it.
Yeah, I don't know on that one. So it's been a pretty cool show, guys. I had a lot of fun. Looks like we have last thing here. I did see. I want to just make sure that I do acknowledge. I apologize. We had a few comments that were above before. Says that good point, Brandy. I didn't want the little ones getting started in the gambling game, so I did want to acknowledge that for the arcade 1-up, and then. Smooth gambling kids wearing shades and smoking. That is 90s written all over it. If I've ever heard
I was about to say it looks like something you'd see in the 90s.
That's a 90s thing. So we definitely appreciate all you guys tonight. Carl Peterson, we'll shout out this last comment here. It says, "Awesome show. Thank you so much, Game Junction and Gamer Aimer." Hey, thanks, Carl. We appreciate you supporting us for sure.
Definitely.
So
We'll
absolutely. We'll have all the links down below. We'll have obviously all of John's stuff and all of our stuff down below. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe. We've had a lot of viewers on here, and we can definitely use the support. We're a growing team, so any support is definitely welcome. And we will, as always, be back again next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll have Gamer Aimer, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and then me back here with a guest that we'll announce in a couple days. So appreciate all you guys watching, and we'll see you again soon.
I'll see y'all later.
Thank you, guys.